Hello, and welcome back to Supposedly Fun. My name is Greg. I am here today to do my wrap-up for the month of February, which is, well, there's not a lot to report in terms of reading because, if you follow along, you know I had hernia repair surgery this month, and that really slowed down any progress I had in reading this month, and, it is what it is. It's okay. So I only actually finished 2 books in the month of February, and part of me at first was really stressed about that, but it is what it is. I can't control the fact that I had to have surgery, and that recovery was longer than the doctor told me it was going to be. So it is what it is. The first book that I finished was Becoming Unbecoming, a graphic novel by Una. I had to return it to the library, so I don't have a copy to hold up for you. I had mentioned it briefly in a kind of Friday Reads update while I was still recovering. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I picked it up because Jen Campbell included it in her favorite reads of 2019. I definitely recommend it. I mentioned in my previous video that I especially recommend it as a sort of companion to The Five by Hallie Rubenhold because there is a sort of correlation between those books. Both of them talk about how women who are the victims of violent crime are frequently treated with more suspicion and a greater deal of interrogation on the part of the media than the often male person who is committing the crimes. And that is really fascinating. And it's an interesting way of doing a coming-of-age story. So basically, Una is a pen name, and it is the story of her coming of age in, I believe, Northern England during the time of the Yorkshire Ripper. And both her coming of age and this story with the Yorkshire Ripper are told in parallel with the story of her. She's the victim of sexual assault, so she is coming of age dealing with this, and there's all this stuff in the media about women who are also the victim of crimes against them. It's a really interesting book. I wouldn't say it's happy, but it's just, it's a breeze to read. Well, not in terms of content, but it's a graphic memoir, so you can get through it very quickly. I did end up reading it twice because I read it shortly before I had the hernia repair surgery, and I did not remember it very well at all after. So I had to kind of go back and familiarize myself with it, but I decided since I was going back, I might as well just reread it. So I did, and it was as if it was new. So lesson learned as well, don't try to read anything before you have surgery, especially if they're going to be using Versed. So there it is. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking that one out. The other book I managed to read was D is for Deadbeat by Sue Grafton, and I talked about it a little bit in that previous video as well. Of the first few books, it is definitely the first real dud in the Kinsey Millhone series. However, I still love the series, and you can see because I've talked about it. I did a kind of run through of the first 4 books. I will link that down below. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it here, just to say, that one was a bit of a miss, but I still love the series, and we'll hopefully continue to explore it further and go into some more rereads over the course of this year and probably next year as well. And that's what I read. I do want to get back to recommending YouTube channels, and I have not done it in the month of February, so I want to talk about 2 of them today. The first one is LGBTQ Reads with Jen. This is a channel that is new to me. I discovered it this very month. She commented on one of my videos, and I clicked through to her channel, and it's just a delight. So she does not post very often, although she did say that she wants to work on posting more frequently this year. I watched her BookTube newbie tag, immediately hit subscribe, and I would challenge you, if you watch her BookTube newbie tag, which she did a year after her, starting her channel, and she explains why in the video, I challenge you, if you watch that video and don't feel totally charmed, I don't know what to say to you. But definitely check it out. I will link her channel down below. It's LGBTQ Reads with Jen, and I'm really excited about it. It is just a delight. The other channel I want to recommend right now is the Weird Book Book Club, hosted by Dan. Kind of keeping with the LGBTQ theme, although Dan reads a wide variety of things. He also does not post super regularly, but when he does, it's always interesting. And he's just a really nice guy in general. And I have kind of formed a friendship with him through Twitter. So I enjoy his videos, and I would recommend taking a look at them. Again, I will link them down below. So those channels, if you have other channels that you would like to recommend, please drop those down below as well, because I struggle to keep up with the channels I already subscribe to, especially this month with everything that's been going on. I've fallen completely behind. So I need to do better with all of that in March. But I am always looking for new channels to subscribe to. So definitely leave those recommendations down below. And I'm looking forward to, so I am almost done with 2 other books. I probably will be able to finish them by tomorrow, so they would be in the month of February. Those are Inland by Taya Obret and The Far Field by Madhuri Vijay, but I can't tell you about them because I'm reading them for the BookTube prize. So you are just going to have to wait to find out what I think of them. And then my plans for early March, I have a buddy read of Lonesome Dove coming up with Rick. We are working out details. I need to get back to him. And I want to try to read His Family by Ernest Poole. I got to finish my BookTube prize. So I have a kind of packed month coming up. And then I have two buddy reads I'm looking at in April. And yeah, so I'm going to have to challenge myself to get back in the habit of reading and really go with it. And but I'm excited to do it. I think I'm ready. I think having an entire month and only finishing 2 books, well, it will be 4. Likely before by the end. Felt weird. I think the funny thing is I don't read as much as a lot of people here on BookTube, but when you're not doing something that you love, it always ends up feeling weird after a couple of weeks. And I'm at that point where it's like, I want to be doing that. So I have to get back to it. It did kind of occur to me that I explained that I had hernia repair surgery. I don't think I ever told the story of how I ended up having a hernia in the first place. Don't know if it's something you'd be interested in, but so what happened, I actually had a hernia, an umbilical hernia, for 10, almost 11 years. Back in 2009, it was 11 years actually, because back in 2009, it was my first semester at Columbia. I had a friend in one of my English classes that I would study with. And one day we'd been studying a lot because we were heading toward finals, and a friend texted him and invited him to dinner, and we both kind of just said, we need a break. So he invited me to dinner. We decided we went to a Mario Batali restaurant, and we were sitting down having dinner. Apropos of absolutely nothing, this guy looked at me and the girl who the friend who had texted him, who I actually knew from several of my classes. He just looks at us and says, my mother's mother played the spoons. And there was this pause, and I bit the inside of my cheek to keep from laughing, because I was like, that is so random. What? And I just said, oh, that's nice. And he started to continue and say, yeah, and before he could get the full sentence of whatever he was about to elaborate on out, the girl sitting next to me just burst out laughing. And as soon as she started laughing, I started laughing. And he was totally confused, and he just said, well, why are you guys laughing? And we couldn't explain. We were too busy laughing. So he said again, why are you laughing? Guys, she died. And the second he said she died, I fell out of my chair laughing. And I was laughing so hard, I actually felt something tear in my belly button. Interestingly though, I knew something had happened, so I figured it was a hernia. I went to Columbia's student healthcare center, because that was the only way I had insurance at the time. I saw a med student. They told me, I don't know what you're talking about, that's not a hernia. So I just said, well, okay. So years go by, and then last year I was having my annual appointment with my primary care doctor, and I had to take my shirt off or something, and he immediately points and says, how long have you had a hernia? And my response, because I tend to believe things people in authority positions tell me, was to just say, oh, it's not a hernia. I had it looked at, and he was just kind of like, it looks like a hernia. So sure enough, it was, and he just told me, as long as it's not bothering you, you'll probably be okay. Well, it had started bothering me, and then I was playing with Guinness downstairs, and did something. I tore it a little more. So I had to immediately run into a doctor. They recommended surgery before it could become a problem. So it ended up, after 10 years or 11 years, it ended up happening very quickly. Like within 3 days of me playing with Guinness and tearing it a little more, I had surgery. So that's the story. Don't know if you were interested or not, But yeah, so, and I guess it's one of those things that kind of goes to show if you know something is wrong with you, get a second opinion. Because I went for years thinking I didn't have a hernia, and I did. So yeah, but that's the story, and I'm mostly feeling recovered now. Sleeping is still the thing that's the hardest right now. And I actually the other day when I was doing the what books should I unhaul video, I carried books in smaller stacks to the table, thinking, because I'm not really supposed to lift much, thinking that would help. By the time I was done carrying everything, it hurt. So I can't really lift anything, which is also bad because I can't pick up my dogs, which, you know, sucks. But anyway, that's enough of that. Like I said, I don't know if you find that interesting or not, but you know, that's the story. That's how my February went. And I also I really want to say I appreciate all of the really lovely comments I got when I kind of told everybody that I was going to be having hernia surgery, and that when the recovery was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. A lot of people left really nice comments on that as well. So really, thank you for the support with that. It meant a lot, and I appreciate it. We have a good community here on BookTube, and I'm thankful for it every day. And I'm thankful for your time watching this video, and I will be back hopefully with more reads to discuss and less surgery to discuss in the month of March. So looking forward to that, and I look forward to hearing what you've been up to. Please leave those comments down below. Tell me what you've been reading in February so I can have live vicariously through you. I was going to say schadenfreude, but that would not be the right word. Anyway, I look forward to catching up next month, and I'll be back. Until then, happy reading.